On the year-end bonus leaderboard, I managed to snag last place in the entire company with a pathetic total of $250. Meanwhile, Yijingfan, that expert brown-noser, effortlessly walked away with $180,000. The very next day, I handed in my resignation. When Liu Roshuang saw my letter, a mocking smirk curled across her lips. Just because your bonus was a little smaller than everyone else's, you're going to quit. How old are you really? Why are you still throwing a tantrum like a child? All right, enough with the attitude. Go back and finish the proposal for the Hengtai group. I promise you, I'll get you a promotion and a raise next year. I'd been hearing these empty promises year after year until my ears were practically calloused from them. She must have thought I would be just like before, gullibly believing her, then burying my head in the sand to keep working like a slave. But this time, that wasn't going to happen. Liu Roshuang's fingers toyed casually with my resignation letter, and she couldn't even be bothered to look up. That familiar sneer, the one I knew all too well, surfaced on her face once again. Lu Zheng, stop messing around. Get back to work, and get that Hengtai group proposal finished. The client is waiting for it. It's been so many years. I know exactly what you're capable of. This company will never treat a loyal, long-term employee unfairly. I'd heard these words so many times before. I could recite them in my sleep. Last year, the year before, and the year before that, whenever a major project landed on my desk, and whenever I was pushed to the point of total exhaustion, just when I needed a break, this exact line would always show up right on cue. It was just like a carrot dangling forever in front of a donkey. It always looked like it was within reach, but you could never actually get a bite. I was once naive enough to believe in him, and so I worked myself to the bone just like a donkey turning a millstone. But what did I get in return? A year-end bonus of $250, which felt like a slap across the face. Mr. Liu, I'm not throwing a tantrum. My voice was calm, not a single ripple of emotion in it. I've made everything very clear in my resignation letter. It's for personal reasons. I'd appreciate it if you could approve it. The smile on Liu Roshuang's face slowly faded away, replaced by a cold, strictly businesslike mask. Personal reasons, he scoffed, his tone sharp laced with cold wind. Lu Zheng, you've been with this company since the beginning. You should know how things work around here. It's the busiest time of the year, and the Hengtai project is at a critical turning point. Yet here you are telling me you want to quit. The company has invested in your growth for 7 whole years. Is this really how you choose to repay us? Are you absolutely sure you've thought this through? Invested in my growth? I turned those words over in my mind, chewing on them. They felt incredibly ironic. Was it growing me when I had to work until 3 in the morning, just to tweak some completely pointless proposal? Or was it growing me by making me follow behind those incompetent coworkers and cleaning up all their messes? Or perhaps it was growing me by forcing me to stand by and watch, as the credit I worked so hard for was carelessly handed off to someone else? Mr. Liu, I've thought it through very clearly. Please just sign the paper. Liu Roshuang stared daggers at me. A few seconds later, he suddenly laughed. He picked up my resignation letter. Right there in front of me, he slowly and deliberately crumpled it into a ball. Then with a flick of his arm, he tossed it precisely into the trash can in the corner. I haven't seen any resignation letter. Just go back and focus on your work. The company needs you. And the Hengtai project needs you even more. Stop dwelling on all that nonsense. Since you're here to work, keep your head in the game. I walked out, leaving that crumpled ball of paper resting quietly on the edge of the trash can, like a pathetic joke that had been tossed aside without a second thought. I looked at him, and I knew in my heart that any more words would just be a waste. It wasn't that Liu Roshuang didn't agree. It was that deep down in his bones, he never took my decision seriously to begin with. Mr. Liu, even if you don't sign this, I'm still leaving today. As soon as those words left my lips, I turned, pulled the door open, and walked straight out. Back at my desk, I started packing up my things. The eyes of my colleagues swept over me like searchlights, then darted away just as quickly. The office was deathly silent, save for Ye Jingfan, whose hushed, intentional voice drifted over from where he was on the phone. Don't worry, Mr. Liu. I promise I'll handle it properly. We can talk in more detail tonight. I didn't have many personal belongings, just a worn-out mug I'd used for years, and some textbooks that were so well-thumbed the edges had curled. I swept them all into a cardboard box. My computer screen was still glowing, displaying the intricate, tangled architecture chart of the Hengtai group proposal. I moved the mouse, the cursor hovering for a split second between the save and close options, before I finally just reached out and hit the power button on the tower. Near the end of the shift, I made a quick trip to the restroom. I had just stepped into a stall and locked the door when I heard footsteps and voices coming from outside. These were 2 of the most vocal young coworkers in the department. Lu Zheng really handed in his resignation letter. It's 100% true. I heard it straight from President Lu's secretary. Pfft. He's just banking on his seniority, thinking he can threaten the company with his resignation. He needs to take a good hard look in the mirror. Exactly. He really thinks way too highly of himself. Look at Ye Jingfan. He's got a silver tongue and knows how to play the game. It's obvious President Liu favors him, no question about it. Brother Yi is incredible. The PowerPoint presentations he makes are a total joy to watch. Every time he reports in, he has President Liu beaming from ear to ear. And look at his work ethic. Without fail, he's the last one to leave every single day. Even though most of the time, nobody really knows what he's actually busy with, but attitude is everything, right? Liu Zhenghe just knows how to keep his head down and slog away. He's got absolutely zero social awareness. Last time President Liu wore that new skirt, everyone in the office showered her with compliments. But he just sat there buried in his stupid proposal. President Liu's expression darkened right then and there. For someone like that to only get $250 for a year-end bonus, he completely deserves it. The faucet was turned on, and the sound of rushing water drowned out the rest of those gloating whispers and snickers. I stood silently in the bathroom stall, my thoughts drifting back 7 years. Back when I first joined the company, the place was just a small startup team of 30-some people. I was the one pulling all-nighters to finalize the proposals. I was the one grinding through the toughest technical problems. When the clients were furious, I was the one pushed to the front to take the heat and the insults. That major order that decided the life or death of the company, from the initial market research to the technical negotiations in the final stages, and the countless revisions of the proposal back and forth. On that single sheet of paper, there wasn't a single trace of my fingerprints or sweat. Back then, Liu Roshuang always loved giving me a thumbs up. Liu Zheng, you're the backbone of this company. Keep up the good work and I promise I won't let you down. I actually believed her. From that day on, I worked even harder, pushing myself to the limit. Later on, the company's size grew several times over, and we even moved into this fancy office building. That was the same year Ye Jinfeng joined us. A graduate from a top-tier university, he always wore his suits looking sharper than mine, and he had a way with words 100 times smoother than I ever could. He didn't need to wrap his head around any of the complex technical details. All he had to do was, whenever Liu Roshuang happened to walk by, pretend to be completely focused on beautifying the border of a PowerPoint slide. He didn't need to break a sweat dealing with difficult clients either. All he needed to do was, whenever Liu Roshuang looked stressed, at just the right moment, hand her a cup of coffee at the perfect temperature, followed by a few thoughtful words like, "Ms. Liu, you really have been working so hard." As for his so-called working late into the night, I caught him in the act more than once. Every single time his computer screen was showing either a shopping website or a video game. Back at my desk, I kept packing my things, my expression completely blank. Ye Jinfeng happened to walk out of the CEO's office right then. Seeing me like this, he paused for a moment. "Brother Zheng, I heard you handed in your resignation to Ms. Liu." His voice wasn't too loud or too soft, but it was just right, making sure everyone nearby could hear every single word. His tone was filled with the perfect amount of feigned regret. "This is so sudden." Ms. Liu was just in her office talking about how the company really can't function without you. Is there some kind of misunderstanding here? Regarding the year-end bonus, Ms. Liu definitely had her reasons for the way she handled it. As subordinates, we should I really be understanding of my boss's struggles? I looked up at him. His eyes were bright, radiating a sharp, calculated glint, along with the smug air of someone who has everything under control. When he's in front of Liu Roshuang, he always wears the mask of a loyal and diligent worker. But in front of me, he can't help but let his unmasked arrogance slip through. This is the same guy who, after I pulled several all-nighters to finish that technical risk assessment report last year, quietly swapped it out with his own name, slapped on some flashier formatting, and submitted it to Liu Roshuang's desk. He earned all the praise for being thorough and having a sharp eye. And it was also this same guy who, last month when the project hit a critical phase, and we ran into a massive roadblock, just happened to come down with a bad cold, and took an extended leave. Then the moment I led the team to overcome the struggle, he magically recovered and waltzed back, grabbed our final results, and went off to give the presentation in his own glory. I stared at him coldly, not saying a word. "Brother Zheng, if you ask me, you were way too impulsive this time." Ye Jinfeng shook his head, acting as if he were genuinely heartbroken for me. "Your skills are top-notch, but sometimes your personality is just too blunt. Look in this workplace. It's not enough to just know how to work. You have to know how to play the game too. Don't you agree?" He was speaking in double meanings, even reaching out to pat my arm in a fake show of intimacy. "He's absolutely right." Another colleague immediately chimed in, wearing a cringy fake smile. "Liu Zheng, what kind of stunt are you pulling here? Is this some kind of reverse psychology? Thinking you can use this stunt to force Boss Liu into giving you a raise? I'd advise you to save your breath. That trick is way past its prime." A low, continuous buzzing sound began to fill the air around me. I ignored it. I didn't stop my packing. I just kept tossing the last few pens into the cardboard box. "Liu, listen to me, don't be impulsive." Another guy leaned over, slumping lazily against the partition. His tone was dripping with mockery. "Isn't your wife at home taking care of the kids? She doesn't have a job, right? And your son, he just started middle school this year, didn't he? That's when money starts flying out the door like water. If you just up and leave like this, how are you planning to cover your mortgage and car payments next month? Without a paycheck, are you and your family planning to live on thin air? No sooner had he finished speaking than a bunch of other well-wishers crowded around. Exactly, Lu Jung. We're all grown adults here. Stop throwing a temper tantrum like a kid. So your year-end bonus was a little short big deal. Didn't Boss Lou already promise that he'd give you a promotion and a raise next year? Just suck it up for one more year. You know how hard it is to find a job out there right now. It's not like you don't know the score. In this industry, once a man hits 35, you can send out resumes all day and nobody will even look at them. You're pushing 40 this year, aren't you? If you walk out that door now, who's even going to want you? Staying at this company means you've at least got a steady paycheck. Seriously? Why are you even trying to compare yourself to Brother Ye? Look at his social skills, the way he handles people. And his professional ability, how could you possibly compare? I'm telling you, sometimes you just have to accept your lot in life. Just do your own job properly. And stop dreaming about things that aren't gonna happen. The chorus of voices chattering all at once felt like a swarm of buzzing flies, whining endlessly in my ears. And it just kept going on. They couldn't even be bothered to keep up the charade anymore. Their words were dripping with nothing but raw malice and mockery. If you ask me, giving Lu Jeng a $250 year-end bonus would be way too generous. That rigid, outdated technical work he does, these days you could grab any fresh graduate, train them for a few months, and they'd probably do a better job for half the pay. It's important for a person to know their own worth. Unfortunately, some people are just born without a clue. Let him keep putting on this show. I'd love to see just how long he can keep acting all tough. I'll bet you anything. Within 3 days, he'll be crawling back here head hung low, begging Director Liu. I can't wait to see that look on his face. I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed the lid of my cardboard box shut. Then I cleared my throat. Are you all finished now? My gaze landed squarely on the colleague who started all this snarky, passive-aggressive talk. Last year, when the module he was in charge of had a massive security breach, I was the one who pulled 3 all-nighters in a row, rewriting his entire codebase from scratch to keep the whole thing from turning into a total disaster. Zhang Weiming, do you even remember that? Last year, that framework of yours was falling apart at the seams, and I was the one cleaning up the mess behind your back. I heard that Director Liu even publicly praised you for keeping your cool and solving the problem so quickly. Honestly, your acting skills are top-notch. But do me a favor, next time, stop using the company's projects as a practice playground for yourself. Can you manage that? His face instantly turned a deep, ugly shade of liver red. He opened his mouth, but couldn't get a single word out. I then turned to the colleague who was so concerned about my mortgage. Hey, Lao Zhou, your wife is out of work too, right? Is that why last month you were secretly using the company's server resources to moonlight on private side projects? So you were planning to use that extra cash to pay off your mortgage, right? Do you need me to help refresh your memory? Do you remember what Article 7, Section 3 of the company's information security policy says? Or should I just go ahead and refresh it for you right now? The fake smile on his face froze instantly. A flicker of subtle panic flashed through his eyes. He instinctively took half a step back. And as for you, my gaze sharpened like a blade, aimed straight at that female colleague who claimed that since I'm over 30, I'm damaged goods. Ms. Sun, if I'm not mistaken. Your resume says you're an expert in machine learning algorithms, right? Do you need me to read a segment of that report? You turned in last month the one with more holes than a kitchen sieve. I can read it out loud in front of everyone right now and let the whole team evaluate exactly what your expertise is really worth. Or perhaps we should ask the colleagues from the marketing department who were absolutely screwed over by your flawed algorithmic suggestions. How did they feel when that all went down? The female colleague's neck stiffened instantly. She looked like she wanted to snap back at me, but under the suddenly piercing, strange stares of everyone around us, she ultimately didn't dare to make a sound. I scanned the room, my gaze finally landing on those few who had been chiming in, just to kiss up to the boss. And as for you folks, those records of you day trading stocks on the clock, binging shows and gossiping. Do you need me to use my admin privileges to pull the system cache from the background? I'd be happy to help you all take a trip down memory lane and relive those brilliant moments. Then I'll just package it all up and send it over to Mr. Liu. Old Chen, the IT guy, and I are on pretty good terms. I'm sure he wouldn't mind doing me such a small favor. The air in the office went completely dead. The place had been noisy just a moment ago, but now it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The expressions on their faces shifted rapidly, turning shades of pale and green. The mocking look was long gone, replaced only by utter humiliation and pure unadulterated fear. They'd probably gotten so used to treating me like a pushover that it never crossed their minds that the person who usually just kept her head down and worked her life away, the one they thought had no awareness or wit whatsoever, actually knew every single one of their dirty little secrets. Ye Jingfan was standing a little further off, and that calm, composed expression he always wore finally crumbled for good. He glared at me with such a dark, brooding look. It was like he was about to spit fire. I didn't look at him again, and I didn't bother looking at anyone else there either. Those few scattered things I'd originally planned to pack up suddenly felt completely pointless. I bent down, picked up the cardboard box that was only half full, and took long, purposeful strides, walking out of that place without ever looking back. I had just reached the bottom of my apartment building when my phone started ringing. The name flashing on the screen was Liu Roshuang. I pressed the answer button, but I didn't say a word. Lu Zheng. Her voice was filled with barely contained irritation, coming at me like a sudden storm. Do you have any idea what time it is? What on earth is going on with the Hengtai project proposal? The client has already called 3 times. Didn't I tell you that you had to finish the draft and send it to me before you left work today? I called your office line and no one picked up. And you weren't at your desk either. Just where the hell did you run off to? I looked up at my apartment window, seeing that warm, soft light glowing from within. I replied to her calmly, Director Liu, I've already resigned and gone home. As for that resignation letter, didn't you throw it away yourself? There was a clear pause on the other end of the line, and then her voice shot up by an entire octave. That bossy, arrogant tone of hers became even more intense. Lu Zheng, have you lost your mind? I told you that matter is already in the past. I promise you I'll make sure you get that promotion and raise next year. You have my word. Are you seriously still hung up on that tiny year-end bonus? What's the point of that? It's really no big deal. Do you honestly have zero sense of the bigger picture? The company needs you more than ever right now. Hearing that, I suddenly wanted to laugh out loud. Where have you even been? Tell me, Director Liu, is this bigger picture you keep talking about simply a way to make sure the people who actually do the hard work only get $250 while letting those suck-ups who steal all the credit walk away with $180,000 in bonuses? Is your so-called bigger picture just an endless cycle of empty promises? Do you want to work your loyal employees into an early grave? Liu Roshuang was left speechless by my sharp comeback. She took a deep breath. Her tone softened just a little, but every single word still carried that condescending air of someone handing out charity. Lu Zheng, I know you're holding a grudge. But Ye Jingfan, in certain aspects, he really is a better fit for the company's current direction. You've been here a long time. You should be more understanding of the company's difficulties and our strategic adjustments. Come back now and finish that proposal immediately. I'll talk to HR right away and get your salary bumped up by 20%. How does that sound? The Hengtai project simply can't function without you. Can't function without me. I let out a mocking laugh. Director Liu, you really think far too highly of me. This company is overflowing with talent. You're absolutely packed with experts, especially some people who are so capable, with such incredible social skills, and whose PPT slides are just works of art. A mere proposal for the Hengtai project? Surely that's just a piece of cake for someone like him, right? You'd better save that precious opportunity for someone who actually needs it more than I do. Take, for example, Lu Zheng, that star employee who just landed a $180,000 year-end bonus. Liu Roshuang's voice turned ice cold. Full of malice and threats, he spat, Don't push your luck. Do you really think that once you leave this company, you'll find any decent job out there? Do you actually think those outdated skills of yours are still in high demand? I'm putting this on the table if you walk out that door today. Don't think it'll be so easy to come crawling back. If the Hengtai project gets delayed because of you, can you even afford to take the blame for that? I calmly cut him off, Director Liu. From the very moment you threw my resignation letter into the trash can, there is no longer any bond or responsibility between me and this company. As for the Hengtai project, whoever stands to profit from it should be the one to take responsibility. As for where my path leads from here, I watched the warm yellow lights in the hallway flicker on in response to my voice, and said, enunciating every word, That is none of your concern. As soon as the words left my lips, I didn't give him another chance to speak. I hung up the phone. Finally, the world went completely quiet. I clutched the light cardboard box to my chest and walked up the stairs one step at a time. I knew deep down that the road ahead was full of unknowns and potentially thorns. But at least from this day on, I would no longer have to desperately chase after that carrot dangling right in front of me, yet always out of reach. And I wouldn't have to endure that sickening hollow flattery ever again. When I got home, my wife was cleaning up the dinner table. Seeing me walk in, she looked surprised. Why are you home so early today? I set the box down, having no intention of keeping anything from her, and told her the whole story, every last detail about the year-end bonus. Just because of that, I quit my job. I thought he would criticize me for being impulsive, but he didn't. He just walked over silently and took my hand. His voice was filled with tenderness. It's okay. If you quit, you quit. You've been working way too hard these past few years, and I can tell. You've never been truly happy. Actually, I've seen it all along, and it's broken my heart. A wave of warmth surged through me. My throat tightened. I reached out and pulled him into a tight embrace. He gently patted my back, asking if I was hungry. I nodded. He turned around and walked into the kitchen. Before long, a steaming bowl of egg noodles was placed right in front of me. My wife sat across from me, resting her chin in her hand, watching me eat in silence. Do you have any plans for what comes next? I haven't had a chance to think about it yet. I slurped up a mouthful of noodles. I'll wait until after the new year and check out the market. Or maybe I'll try to pick up some freelance work. With your skills, I'm sure you won't have any trouble finding work. Her tone was completely certain. Just don't rush into anything. Your health is what matters most. I gave a heavy nod. The soup in the bowl was warm and comforting. It warmed me from my throat all the way down to my heart. All these years, chasing deadlines and rushing projects, I always wolfed down my food. I never had the chance to just sit still like this and really taste the noodles my wife made for me, what they actually taste like. Tonight I finally found out. It's a taste that puts your heart at ease. After dinner I insisted on doing the dishes. The night outside has grown deep and heavy. Lights are flickering on across the city one by one, merging into a brilliant river of stars. I imagine at this hour, the office is probably still ablaze with lights. Li Jinfin is likely holding a cup of coffee, rambling on endlessly to Liu Roshuang, reporting those so-called brilliant new ideas of his. But none of that has anything to do with me anymore. After tidying up the kitchen, I went back to the living room. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Liu Roshuang. Every single word felt like it was piercing through the screen, radiating an uncontrollable rage. Lu Zheng, I'm giving you one last chance. Send me the Hengtai proposal before 9 o'clock tonight. My patience is wearing thin. Don't burn your own bridges. Otherwise, I guarantee you'll live to regret it. I stared at the phone screen, a cold smirk tugging at the corners of my mouth. My fingertips tapped lightly against the glass, replying with just a few words, Ms. Liu, I will never regret this. Seeing this reply, Liu Roshuang immediately started feeling restless. Li Jinfin leaned in to take a look, stealing a glance at the screen. He chuckled and comforted her. Ms. Liu, don't you worry. I know Lu Zheng better than anyone. He's just holding on to a bit of resentment, trying to talk tough, just to save face. After all these years, have you ever seen him actually quit for real? Rest assured before 9 o'clock, he'll definitely be obedient and send that proposal over. Upon hearing this, Liu Roshuang thought it over carefully and decided he was probably right. For the past 7 years, she had been convinced she knew Lu Zheng's personality inside out. Honest, reliable, and submissive. He was a total pushover, taking everything lying down. He worked himself to the bone without a single complaint. Honestly, he was just like a blindfolded donkey pulling a millstone. As long as you tossed him some scraps, he'd just keep grinding away forever. Any task you threw his way, he'd always get it done on time if not early. He never ever made a mistake. The thing that stuck with her the most was that massive bid for the Qiming Tech project. The technical requirements were insanely complicated at the time, and the deadline was breathing down their necks. Plus, their competitors were coming at them with everything they had. The whole department had been running on fumes for over 2 weeks. Just as they were reaching the breaking point, a critical fatal error popped up in the core algorithm. While everyone else was completely helpless, it was Lu Zheng who stayed up for 48 hours straight. He single-handedly busted his gut to patch that vulnerability. Not only that, but he even optimized the performance while he was at it. The final proposal was delivered, 6 hours ahead of the deadline. Because of him, the company walked away with the contract. Then there was another time just late last year. The company's financial system suddenly had a total permissions crash. It threatened to derail the entire quarterly settlement. The IT department was running around like headless chickens, totally stumped. And yet again, it was him. This veteran employee, who didn't even have a formal degree in the field, relied on his deep, gut-level understanding of the company's business logic and took 2 interns under his wing, pulling an all-nighter to track down the issue. He managed to get everything fixed before 5 in the morning, restoring all the critical data. He saved the company from a massive, crushing loss. Thinking back on all this, Liu Roshuang's anxious heart finally started to settle. In her eyes, Lu Zheng was like one of those silent, rock-solid pillars in the office. Usually he was easy to overlook. But you'd never have to worry about him suddenly collapsing. Sure, he might grumble a bit, and he might feel let down, but that sense of responsibility was just wired into his DNA. And that habit of blind obedience has long since become a part of his personality. She was certain he couldn't walk away from this job, and even less likely to drop those tasks he considered his calling. As long as she dangled a few perks in front of him and fed him some empty promises, he'd just be like before working his tail off, handling every single thing for her. A smug smirk curled up on Liu Roshuang's lips. She leaned back comfortably again into the back of her wide executive chair. She nodded at Ye Jingfan, saying, You're right. I doubt he has the guts to actually just walk away. How important this Hengtai project is, he knows better than anyone. Time ticked away second by second. The office lights looked a bit pale and cold. Outside the window, the city neon lights flickered, weaving together into a shimmering, colorful display. Liu Roshuang processed a few emails completely distracted, while listening to Ye Jingfan ramble on about some so-called forward-thinking ideas for another project. Most of these thoughts were all flash and no substance, empty and meaningless. But she had to admit, they certainly sounded pleasing to the ear. Her attention, however, kept drifting involuntarily toward the computer, to the time in the bottom right corner, and that email icon that remained completely silent. The time had already hit 8:30, and the inbox was still deathly quiet. Not a single notification for a new email. Liu Roshuang picked up her coffee, which had already gone cold, took a sip, and her brow furrowed slightly. This shouldn't be happening. Based on Liu Zhang's usual style of working, even if he were throwing a tantrum, he would definitely finish the work before the deadline. In fact, most of the time, he would even hand in that proposal early. But this core document for the partnership with the Hengtai group, which involved critical technical paths, risk assessment, and preliminary architecture, even though Ye Jinfan and a few others were involved. Liu Roshuang knew better than anyone that only Liu Zheng truly held the master plan in his hands. 8:50 in the morning. The longer she waited, the more panicked Liu Roshuang became. A feeling of loss of control unlike anything she'd ever felt was creeping into her heart like vines. She opened the text thread with Liu Zheng again. That message, "I will never regret this," seemed so jarring now. Her fingers felt stiff, but she finally couldn't hold back and grabbed the phone off the desk, found Liu Zheng's number and hit call. What came through the earpiece was nothing but the cold, robotic voice of the automated system. "I'm sorry. The subscriber you have dialed is powered off." Powered off. How dare he turn his phone off? Liu Roshuang's heart sank like a stone, as if she'd suddenly missed a step on the stairs. Liu Zheng never turned his phone off. In the past, no matter how late it was, even if it was 3 or 4 in the morning to confirm project details, the call would always go through immediately. But now the same pushover, she thought, she had firmly wrapped around her finger, had used such a ruthless method to cut off all contact entirely. For the first time, she was genuinely rattled. "Ms. Liu, is everything okay? You look pale." Ye Jinfan leaned in with a look of concern, thoughtfully holding a cup of freshly poured hot water. "Liu Zheng," he turned his phone off. Liu Roshuang's voice sounded raspy, her eyes a mix of disbelief and a burning, growing rage. "And that damn project proposal? He still hasn't sent it over." A flicker of something dark crossed Ye Jinfan's face, but in an instant, it was replaced by a confident look that suggested he had everything under control. "Whoa, hold on a second, Mr. Liu, no need to stress. I just got off the phone with Manager Gao over at Hengtai. I did a little digging to see where they stand, and it sounds like they've been swamped internally today anyway. They said submitting the proposal tomorrow morning will still be totally fine. It's not going to mess up the project timeline at all." His tone was super relaxed, as if it were just some tiny, meaningless detail. But Liu Roshuang's brows remained tightly knitted. Until the plan was actually in her hands, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. "If you ask me, Liu Jin really took it too far this time." Ye Jinfan let out a perfectly timed sigh, his voice dripping with regret and disapproval. "I mean, she always seemed like such a reliable, grounded person. Who would have thought she'd be so petty? She's not looking at the big picture at all, just to chase some small personal gain. She's putting such a vital company project in jeopardy. Is that really how a veteran employee should be acting? It's like she's putting her own little tantrums above the collective interest of the whole company." As he spoke, he watched her face closely without making it obvious. Seeing that his words were successfully stoking her anger, he seized the moment to keep pouring fuel on the fire. "Mr. Liu, you've been so good to her. You've promised her promotions and raises year after year. If she doesn't have the skills to keep up with the company's growth, that's on her. But she spends all day whining and blaming others, acting like everyone is stealing her thunder. And look at her now pulling this stunt. She's actually gone MIA on us. This is nothing but a blatant power move, a threat. She clearly doesn't respect you, or take this company seriously at all." Every single word of that rant landed perfectly on Liu Roshuang's hot button. Such an ungrateful little brat? He slammed his hand on the desk with a deafening crack. 7 years. This company wasted 7 years raising him. Even if you kept a dog for 7 years, it would at least know how to wag its tail to show some gratitude. But him, just over a measly year-end bonus. He actually has the nerve to pull a stunt like this on me. Honestly, he's just a piece of dead weight that's impossible to help. He's only fit to rot away doing mindless technical grunt work his whole life. She was so furious her chest was heaving violently. She turned her gaze toward Ye Jinfan. Comparing the two of them, she felt even more that the man in front of her was both pleasant and capable. "Jingfan, you're the one I can really count on. You know how to take the pressure off the company, and you always step up when it matters most. Unlike some people, who deserve to be stuck at the bottom for the rest of their lives." Hearing Liu Roshuang's praise, Ye Jinfan, a flicker of smugness flashed quickly across his eyes. Yet he immediately put on an expression of humility and complete loyalty. "Ms. Liu, you're too kind. This is just part of my job. As a member of this company, of course I should be worried about what you're worried about, and think about what you need." He paused for a moment as if collecting his thoughts, then acted as if he had just made a very difficult decision. He spoke up. "Ms. Liu, how about this? Leave the proposal for Hengtai to me. I've gone over all the background research and the general framework that Lu Zheng put together. I've studied it all very carefully, and I have a solid grasp of the general direction. Even though the time is a bit tight, I don't mind pulling an all-nighter. And I guarantee I'll get it done. The quality definitely won't be any worse than Lu Zheng's work. You have my word. By tomorrow morning, I guarantee Hengtai will have the proposal in their hands. I won't let anything be delayed, not even for a second. For Liu Ruoxuang hearing these words, he wasn't looking to play the hero when things were already at their worst. The boss was still furious and had completely given up on Lu Zheng. So when he heard Ye Jingfan stepping up to volunteer, ready to take on such a scorching hot potato, he was absolutely thrilled. Great! That's fantastic, Jingfan. You're the only one I can count on when the pressure is really on, with your heart in the right place, and your talent to back it up. The company is never going to treat you unfairly, as long as you can pull off this Hengtai project proposal and make it look perfect for me then. Once the new year passes, I'm officially promoting you to department manager. Just keep up the good work. Those 3 words, department manager, made Ye Jingfan's heart skip a beat and race with excitement, but he forced himself to suppress his inner joy, struggling to appear as steady and determined as possible. Thank you for your trust, Mr. Liu. I will give it everything I've got, and I won't let you down. You can count on me. I'll camp out at the office tonight, and I won't leave until this proposal is absolutely flawless. Liu Ruoxuang tossed and turned in the office all night, feeling completely on edge. The very next morning, Ye Jingfan walked in carrying a beautifully bound proposal. His eyes were bloodshot, looking completely exhausted from pulling an all-nighter. Yet he couldn't quite hide a trace of smugness. Mr. Liu, I've fulfilled my mission. Liu Ruoxuang took it from him and hurriedly flipped through a few pages. The formatting was neat, the charts were comprehensive, and on the surface it looked quite professional. He thought to himself that there shouldn't be any major issues. Jingfan, you've really worked hard. Ye Jingfan quickly shook his head and insisted it was no trouble at all. He stuffed the proposal into his briefcase and headed straight for the Hengtai group. The person in charge of receiving him was Manager Gao from Hengtai. As the two of them shook hands, Manager Gao habitually glanced over his shoulder. President Liu, how come Mr. Liu didn't come with you today? He had some personal business, Liu Ruoxuang answered calmly with a smile. Manager Gao nodded and didn't ask any further questions. After they took their seats, Liu Ruoxuang handed over the proposal. Manager Gao opened the document. He breezed through the standard content in the first few pages. But when he flipped to the core technical section, his pace slowed down significantly. The further he read, the deeper his brow furrowed. Finally, he closed the proposal and looked up. Finally, he slammed the proposal shut with a loud clap and looked up. President Liu, did someone else write this proposal? Liu Ruoxuang's heart skipped a beat, but she kept a steady smile on her face. How could that be? This proposal was definitely handled personally by Lu Zheng. Manager Gao stared into her eyes for a full 2 seconds before looking back down. He jabbed his finger hard against the paper. The interface design and the protocol here don't match up at all. If we go ahead with this plan, the data interaction later on is going to be a total disaster. He flipped to another page. And this security protocol, it's completely outdated and full of vulnerabilities. In our last meeting, Mr. Liu explicitly shot this plan down. He flipped back a few more pages. The risk assessment just glosses over the real issues, and the most critical technical challenges aren't even mentioned in the report. He closed the proposal completely, his gaze turning cold. This doesn't look like Mr. Liu's work at all. It looks more like some college intern, copy-pasting from a template. It's absolutely riddled with holes. It's full of holes, just one massive disaster after another. It's a total disaster. This is absolute nonsense. Manager Gao, there might be some kind of misunderstanding here. Seeing Manager Gao fly into a rage, Liu Ruoxuang panicked instantly. A misunderstanding! Manager Gao slammed his hands on the desk and stood up abruptly. He said with an icy tone, I've worked with Mr. Liu not just once or twice. What kind of quality he delivers? I know perfectly well. He picked up that proposal, as if it were nothing but a stack of scrap paper. It seems your company isn't taking this partnership seriously at all. To think you could be this sloppy with even the most core documents. No, it's not. There's no need for further explanations. Manager Gao cut her off without a shred of politeness. Today's meeting ends here. I will report this proposal exactly as it is to the group headquarters. As for any future collaboration, I'm afraid we'll need to reevaluate everything. After saying that, he didn't even glance at Liu Ruoxuang again. He turned around and strode out of the conference room. Liu Ruoxuang was left standing there all alone, feeling her hands and feet go cold, a chill, shooting straight from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. She was regretting it so much she could die. She hated herself. Why couldn't she have taken a closer look this morning? Why did she trust Ye Jingfan so easily? That absolute idiot. This vital project with Hengtai was likely about to fall through just because of her negligence. Right at that moment, the phone in her briefcase began to buzz. With trembling hands, she took it out and saw a text message from Ye Jingfan, Ms. Liu. Did the report on the proposal go well? Liu Ruoxuang stared intensely at the words on the screen, and a surge of blind rage flared up in her mind. She didn't reply. She grabbed her bag and stormed out of the Hengtai group building without looking back. On the way back to the company, his mind was a total mess like a pot of boiling mush. The furious, hateful look on Manager Gao's face, Lu Zheng's calm, unbothered expression, and that annoyingly confident smirk of Ye Jingfan's, they all kept flashing before his eyes. Back at the office, the workspace was dead silent. As soon as the employees saw his face, darker than a soot-covered pot, they instantly knew something had gone horribly wrong. One by one, they ducked their heads, not even daring to breathe too loudly. Lu Zheng's desk was completely empty. Nothing left but the standard-issue company computer and chair, looking especially cold and desolate. Jingfan, having no clue he was walking into a disaster, walked up with a grin. "Boss Liu, you're finally back?" But before he could even finish his sentence, Liu Ruoxuang didn't waste a second. She raised her hand and delivered a stinging slap across his face. Smack Ye Jingfan was sent reeling to the side. His face twisted in shock as he clutched his cheek, completely stunned. The entire office went deathly quiet. You could hear a pin drop. "Is this the proposal you came up with?" Liu Ruoxuang's voice was trembling with pure rage. "It's full of holes. Give it to me straight right now. This thing? Did you just pay some random person online to throw this together for you? Now Hengtai has turned against us, and the whole project is about to go down the drain. You've completely screwed the company over this time." Ye Jingfan's face turned from red to white, and he stammered out a defense. "No, I didn't." "Boss Liu, I swear I pulled an all-nighter for this proposal. I worked so hard on it. Cut the crap. The core technical parts are all completely wrong." Manager Gao took one look and pointed out every single mistake. She pointed toward the office exit. "Get out there right now. And find Lu Zheng and bring him back. I don't care if you have to beg him or get down on your knees. We have to get him back here to clean up this mess. If this project falls through, you can pack your bags and get out." Ye Jinfen stood there frozen, his face stinging with heat. The stares from his colleagues around him felt like needles, pricking at his skin, making him wish the ground would swallow him whole. Liu Ruoxuang roared at him. "Well, what are you waiting for? Get moving!" Ye Jinfen gritted his teeth, and in the end he turned and hurried away, looking absolutely pathetic as he walked off. Liu Ruoxuang swept a cold, piercing gaze across the office floor. The employees immediately shrank back like quails, not daring to make a sound. With a loud bang, he slammed his office door shut and collapsed into his boss's chair. He buried his face in his hands, feeling utterly defeated. This total disaster of a situation was sitting right in front of him, but the only person who could fix it was someone he had personally humiliated by giving him a pathetic year-end bonus of just $250. What was he supposed to do now? After running this company for over 10 years, this was the first time Liu Ruoxuang had ever felt such deep, bone-chilling helplessness and despair. The day after I finished my resignation paperwork, I took my wife and son back to my hometown. We had the happiest Lunar New Year I'd had in years. The air back home was incredibly fresh, and the festive spirit was so much stronger than in the city. I could sleep in every single day, and then spend time playing chess with my father in the yard, watching my mother and my wife busy in the kitchen preparing the New Year's Eve feast. All I could hear was the sound of my son setting off firecrackers, filled with bursts of laughter. For 7 whole years, this was the first time I had been able to completely let go of work and just enjoy a peaceful, worry-free holiday. The feeling was truly relaxing and wonderful. During that time, the company's IT guy Old Cheng gave me a call and quietly told me that the big Hengtai deal had indeed fallen through. Liu Ruoxuang has completely lost it. She's searching for me everywhere like a madwoman. She's even taking all her anger out on Ye Jingfan. She's been using him as a human punching bag every single day, right? Liu, you should have seen the scene. Ye Jingfan looks like a total mess nowadays. Every time Liu finds even the tiniest mistake, she'll lecture him for a solid 30 minutes straight. The whole company is on edge, honestly. A bunch of the key players in the tech department have been secretly sending out their resumes, just waiting for their chance to bail. Hearing all that, I just let out a faint, calm smile. "Lao Cheng, thanks for the heads up. What about you? What are your plans?" Lao Cheng let out a long, heavy sigh on the other end of the line. "What plans could I possibly have? Just dragging myself through one day at a time, I guess." At the beginning of this year, right after my family and I got back to the city from our hometown, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Once I picked up, the person on the other end introduced themselves as a recruiter. "Hello, Mr. Liu. We've been keeping an eye on you for quite a while. We know you have an excellent reputation in the industry, and your technical skills are top-notch. Since you've already left your previous company, we happen to have an opening for a technical director position, and we'd like to invite you in for an interview." I didn't even hesitate. I agreed right then and there. The scale of this new company was significantly larger than the one I was at before. I was interviewed by the company's VP of Technology and the chairman himself. They hit me with a few incredibly professional high-level technical questions, and then asked me to share my thoughts on where the industry's tech trends are headed in the future. After we talked for over an hour, the chairman made the call on the spot. Mr. Liu, our company really needs someone like you right now, with deep technical expertise and a core talent who is both grounded and hardworking. The offer they put on the table was incredibly generous. The salary was 3 times what I was making before, plus stock options in the company. I was hired directly as the technical director with a guaranteed year-end bonus of no less than 300,000. When I told my wife the good news, she was so moved that she burst into tears right there. Honey, I told you so. She wiped her tears, laughing and crying at the same time. A piece of gold will always find its time to shine. Once the Lantern Festival was over, I officially started at the new company. The atmosphere at the new place was fantastic. My colleagues were all hard workers who kept their heads down and focused on the job. There was absolutely none of that sycophantic, toxic office politics from my past. I worked diligently, leading my new team, to overcome one technical hurdle after another. In our first quarter, we successfully landed a government smart city project that the company had poured massive amounts of energy into but had never been able to crack. Half a year later, a new algorithm our team developed independently won the annual Technical Innovation Award at an industry tech summit. At the victory banquet, the chairman patted me on the shoulder and said, "Lu Zheng, poaching you was definitely the best decision I've made all year." Not long after, old Chung called me again. His voice sounded incredibly bleak. "Lu Zheng Liu Ruoxuang's company is falling apart. After that Hengtai group project went bust, it was like a row of dominoes falling. Several long-term clients have terminated their contracts as well. There's no money left in the company account now, and it's unclear if they can even pay this month's salaries. Everything is just a mess." 3 people from the tech department quit all at once yesterday. Even Ye Jingfen got kicked to the curb. Now even the receptionist just handed in her resignation. Word is Liu Ruoxuang is running around trying to borrow money to save his own skin, but not a single soul is willing to lend him a dime. It seems like he's already mortgaged his house and his car. I just let out a small laugh. I asked Lao Chung, "Are you willing to come work for me as an IT department head? Just say the word. I'll double your salary just like that." Lao Cheng was clearly stunned on the other end of the line for a few seconds. His voice was even trembling a bit. "Brother Liu, are you for real?" "Of course I'm for real. I know your technical skills better than anyone. Come report to me next Monday." After Lao Chung joined the team, he worked harder than anyone I've ever seen. During one of our department dinners, after having a few drinks, he got all teary-eyed and said to me, "Brother Liu, I never imagined that I'd ever meet someone like you, someone who truly changed my life." A year flashed by in the blink of an eye. At the company's annual meeting, the chairman took the stage to give his speech. He specifically called me out, praising the technical team I lead. This year, our company's overall performance grew by 200%. Our core technical competitiveness has also seen a massive leap. None of this would have been possible without our technical director, Mr. Lu Zheng, and his exceptional team, and the incredible contributions they've made. Thunderous applause erupted throughout the room. The chairman then announced, to honor the outstanding contributions of Director Liu, the board of directors has decided to give Director Liu a special bonus, $1 million in cash plus a brand new Mercedes-Benz. The spotlight hit me instantly. I walked up to the stage and took the giant ceremonial car key, the model, and the check from the chairman's hands. Down in the audience, my wife was hugging our son tightly. She was smiling, but tears just couldn't help but stream down her face. After the annual party ended, our little family of 3 got into our brand new Mercedes. We drove away from the hotel feeling so happy. Our son was excited, sitting in the back seat, fiddling with the car's smart display screen. My wife, meanwhile, was gently stroking the smooth leather seats. She said softly, "Honey, I feel like I'm dreaming right now." I watched them through the rearview mirror, turned back, and gave a small smile. As the car waited at a red light, I happened to glance over to the side of the road, where there was a small cart selling roasted sweet potatoes. The person pushing the cart was wrapped in a thick, worn-out cotton coat, hunched over, looking down as he gave change to a customer. The streetlights happened to illuminate his profile, and that face, it was Liu Ruoxuang. He was so much thinner than he had been a year ago. His hair was just tied back carelessly in a ponytail. His face was covered in chapped, wind-burned skin. That guy, those hands that once wielded so much power in the business world, were now bright red from the freezing cold. He was clumsily wrapping a piping hot sweet potato in a paper bag. After the customer left, he looked up, his eyes hollow and dazed, staring at the endless stream of traffic on the road. Almost as if possessed, I rolled down the car window. He happened to turn his head, and his gaze cut through the traffic to find me in the driver's seat. In that instant, the expression on his face completely froze. A series of emotions flashed through his eyes. Shock, humiliation, regret, and finally tears that were about to overflow. He opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something to me, but not a single word came out. I just gave him a calm smile. A silent acknowledgement, and then I drove on without saying a word. The light turned green. I started the car and merged smoothly into the traffic, flowing ahead, driving straight into the deep night. In the rearview mirror, that frail figure pushing a small cart grew smaller and smaller, until finally they were completely swallowed up by the sea of city lights. I couldn't see them anymore. My wife whispered, "Honey, was that really Mr. Liu back there?" I nodded. "Yeah, it was him. How did he end up selling sweet potatoes on the street?" "Ever since I left," I explained, "his company just went downhill, and eventually it went under." I said calmly, "People have to eat to survive." My wife fell silent for a moment, then reached over and squeezed my hand tightly. Our son leaned in from the back seat, his face full of excitement. "Dad, can we go to the ocean park tomorrow, please? You promised me. You said if you won the big prize, you'd take me." "All right, deal. Dad will take you tomorrow." The car drove steadily on the way home. Outside the window, the city lights were dazzling, like a beautiful hazy dream. I thought to myself, under every one of those warm lights, there's probably a story of its own. But my story has already turned to a brand new page. As for the past, I'll just leave it all in the rearview mirror and let it fade away with the wind.